Where have all the Christians gone? Long time passing. Where have all the Christians gone? Long time ago. Hello and welcome once again to another exciting episode of Any Questions with Reverend Dan Sire. Sorry I'm a few days late on this, and however, I don't think that's too much of a burden for all of my 25 subscribers. I value you all, but doesn't seem like anyone's necessarily waiting with bated breath for the next episode of Any Questions, but more about that later. Today, I want to ask the question because I didn't receive any questions. I want to ask a question, and that is Christianity dying? No, that's not the question. Actually, the question is Christianity worth saving? Is Christianity worth saving? To answer that question, we need to ask, is Christianity dying? And yes, Christianity is dying, specifically in the Western world, specifically in the United States, because that's what we've been dealing specifically with. In other places in the world, in Africa and Latin America, Christianity actually is growing. We'll talk more about that a little bit later in another episode. But in the Western world, Europe, North America, Christianity is dying and has been for a long time. Pew Research tells us that in the last 10 years, the last decade, in the United States, the number of people identifying as Christian has gone from 77% of the population to 65% of the population. Big decrease. And a statistician in my own denomination, the ELCA, has predicted that within 20 years, my denomination will statistically pretty much be history. So, is Christianity dying? Yes, it is. Back to the original question then. Is Christianity worth saving? And I would have to say, yes, of course, emphatically, I believe that it is. As we've talked about many times before, I believe that God can be defined as the creative force, the creative energy in the universe. And as Christians, well, as human beings, we have to ask ourselves, would our lives be better? Would our lives be better if we were more in tune with the creative forces and energy in the universe? It seems to me that the answer is plainly yes, it would be. And for us as Christians, that connection, that in-tuneness comes through Jesus Christ. Again, we've talked about before how we can define God, this creative force in the universe, as beingness. And for us as Christians, we are connected to that beingness through the human beingness of Jesus Christ. An extraordinary human being whose life and death and resurrected memory has served, I think, above others, to help us connect with that creative energy and creative force in the universe. And again, we talked last week a bit about magic, and I'm not talking about a magic Jesus. I'm not talking about a Jesus who was born of a virgin, because he was not. I'm not talking about a Jesus who was physically resurrected, because he was not. But I'm talking rather about an extraordinary human being whose life, death, and through whose resurrected memory we can be in connection with the creative force in the universe. So, is Christianity worth saving? Yeah, it is. It is. Another question then that could be asked, well, is anybody doing anything about it? Well, I am hoping through this channel to at least begin some discussion. I don't pretend to be arrogant enough to say that I can have any kind of giant impact, but I would hope that in some small way I could begin a conversation that would allow us to think about what can be done, because it doesn't seem like much is being done. It doesn't seem like most Christians want to save Christianity, because we continue to do the same things over and over again. We continue to approach this God-Jesus conundrum through an orthodox viewpoint, an ancient orthodox viewpoint, which has long since outlived its usefulness. And as I've said again many times before, we are in desperate need of a new perspective, a new dynamic, a new way of seeing God, and our connection to God through Jesus Christ. Yet, the church doesn't seem to change. The church doesn't seem to want to do anything about that. Albert Einstein is credited as saying that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Seems to be what the church is doing. No, I can't blame folks in this crazy world in which we live, with all its chaos and uncertainty, which seems to be increasing day by day. I can't blame folks for wanting something traditional to hang on to, something that they can count on as the world swirls around them. I don't blame folks for that. But when that thing that you're holding on to and hanging on to, that tradition that you so tenaciously grasp, has lost its meaning, has lost its significance, has lost its ability to change your life, then yeah, it's not doing you much good. And yes, I think we do need a touchstone. We do need something to hang on to amidst the swirling chaos of this world. And I believe that is a connection to the creative forces of the universe, specifically through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So, that's it for today. Brief message. I don't know why this thing is so washed out on this side. I guess I've got too much sunlight coming through. I guess the sun never shines that much up here in Wisconsin, that it's been an issue before. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Do you think that Christianity needs to be saved? Do you think Christianity is dying? And are we heading in the right direction? Or are we just spitting in the wind? Thank you again for your attention. Thank you again for your participation. Subscribe, ring that bell. Let your friends know about these videos so that we can open up a discussion that will, in fact, we hope, change your life. Amen.